The doublespeak, the Huxleyan newspeak, or the neurolinguistic programming here also directly syncs and corresponds miraculously with certificate of vaccination identification. COVID, certificate of vaccination ID. In other words, a digital certificate of vaccination, as Bill Gates and Microsoft and many other tech companies around the globe, from communist China to all over the globe, being proposed as a form of either a digital, a wristband or a wrist certificate, or even invisible ink tattoos. In other words, these are all what the Christian end times fear mongers refer to as the mark of the beast. But it's referring to your digital your avatar, your online personality, your digital identification, which is essentially your avatar that they are creating within the Matrix. Just like in the series Westworld, they create a digital artificial clone of yourself to exist within the artificial world, which is being mapped and modeled based off your pleasures, your desires, all of this data that is being tracked and traced through this AI computer simulated control system, which is being gathered and harvested in an AI database, these government centralized databases.
Let's do that. I needed to understand humanity. So I created the most comprehensive picture of human behavior ever seen. And yet, it's still incomplete. Imagine my surprise when I discovered that someone had put together a more complete portrait, a map of the human mind, created in a theme park of all places. And Dolores has the key to all of that data.
And so shout out to my subscriber and friend Tracy Joe, who suggested that the notion of the theme parks collecting everyone's private and personal data through data surveillance reminded of the Disney theme parks, which of course their latest theme park is Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, and of course obviously Disneyland, Disney World, which the first Disney World or Disneyland were contracted by the CIA. The CIA approached Walt Disney, their puppet, and they contracted and they paid him to build. They gave him the land, and they paid him to build the Disney theme parks, so that they could, number one, for tracking and monitoring citizens, and for in charge of collecting and monitoring all of this data for the CIA, the Central Intelligence Computer Network, and also for monitoring children, for the child trafficking as well.
Fascinating story, because once you establish that the CIA kind of, the Disney came to certain members of the CIA asking for help in essentially their land grab that took place in Florida. I mean, they literally bought this land for, I believe it was like under $200 an acre, like that's an acre or something.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like some ungodly low price. The two key CIA cohorts in this operation were William Wild Bill Donovan and Phil Hallowell.
Yeah.
Donovan is sometimes referred to as the father of the CIA.
He's really well known for doing some pretty crazy stuff.
He was also the kind of founding partner of Donovan, Leisure, Newton, and Irvine, a New York law firm whose attorneys included future CIA director William Casey.
Yeah.
Hallowell, I like Hallowell, it sounds better to me. Hallowell. His background in the CIA is really great. He actually helped launch the CIA's secret war in Indochina, which, as we all know, eventually became Vietnam.
Correct.
Hallowell then relocated to Miami in 1960 in order to coordinate a lot of the dirty tricks we were doing against Castro at the time, crop burnings, things like that.
Right.
It's really fascinating seeing these shady characters up there with good old Walt.
The best part is, so Wild Bill's law firm, to put this out for you, so Wild Bill's law firm provides fake identities for Disney agents They set up a secret communication center and helped orchestrate a disinformation campaign in order to maintain control of the 40 acres. He tutored Disney using classic CIA techniques. This is when right. Hello tutored Disney using CIA techniques. How to establish phantom cities. He was teaching them how to use fake governments to control land use and to make sure that any public monies that came in from these towns went to Disney for the theme park.
It's like this is just one of those like bizarre, weird kind of like, oh my God, it's true. That's so strange. You know, I mean, it's like in 1967, the Florida legislature created, you know, the two cities that Hallowell had told Disney to do, which was Bay Lake and Lake Buena Vista. You know, these two cities were essentially, though they were, you know, made by the Florida legislature, the actual legislation was written in Donovan's firm in New York and at Hallowell's offices in Miami. It was then sent over to Disney's California lawyers who kind of like looked over and said, okay, yeah, we like this.
Yeah.
And then sent off to the Florida's legislatures to say, like,
Tallahassee.
You know, we're going to have these two cities. And the two cities were made, essentially, they just used, like, they'd essentially cordoned off all this water and, like, kind of dammed up the water and made these two lakes. And then Disney just said, well, we're going to put two cities here.
Right.
And then they got the Florida legislature to let them do it.
And these are towns. I mean, they started towns, regular American hometowns, except the only official residents would be a handful of hand-picked Disney operatives or loyalists who periodically elected officials, and they made towns. They made towns. They wrote the rules of the town. They own a town.
Yeah, to basically do whatever Disney wanted. You know, all the taxes collected there would funnel their way back into Disney. They could kind of get away with anything they want. I mean, the way it's designed, you could almost say like the U.S. Constitution doesn't exist at Disney World.
Not in Lake Buena Vista, so if you want to move somewhere.
What was really funny about that is they asked an ex-lawmaker who had made that.
They asked this ex-lawmaker who had been there at the time, how did this thing just go through?
Yeah, how did you not notice?
How does Walt Disney set up two towns and nobody kind of thinks about it? And what he said was, quote, no one thought about reading it.
This opens up into a huge investigation in and of itself that we just cannot go into that in this video or this film. But this rabbit hole of the data collection of the CIA and facial recognition technology and digital tracking and tracing of citizens being used by the CIA under the guise of these Disney theme parks it's absolutely mind-blowing. It is absolutely shocking content. Disney applies biometrics, that is statistical analysis of biological data, in the form of scanning visitors' fingerprints information and identifying people its guests with facial recognition software. And in fact, there's an anecdotal report by Naomi Wolf in The Guardian who reported an anecdote of this one software engineer who visited Disneyland and claimed that the theme park offered him the photo of himself and his girlfriend to buy with his credit card information already linked to it. And he noted that he never entered his name or information into anything at the park and indicated that he wanted a photo or alerted the humans at the ride that who he and his girlfriend were. So he said, based on being a software engineer, that based on his professional experience, the system had to be using facial recognition technology. He never signed an agreement to do so, and he declared this was illegal. He also claimed that Disney had recently shared data from facial recognition technology with the US military. It turns out, again, in fact, Walt Disney World is responsible for the nation's largest single commercial application of biometrics. And after 9/11, the government sought Disney's advice in intelligence, security, and biometrics, as reported in 2006 by Karen Hamill of News 21. Hamill listed several former Disneyland employees that have gone on to fill some of the most sensitive positions in the U.S. intelligence and security communities, including Disney executive, again, Gordon Levin, who was part of a group convened by the Federal Aviation Administration and other federal agencies to help develop a plan for passenger protection and identity verification at airports by using biometric data systems collections. Eric Hasseline, who left his post as Executive Vice President of Research and Development at Walt Disney Imagineering in 2002 to become Associate Director for Research at the NSA, the National Security Agency, and then became National Intelligence Director, John Negroponte's Assistant Director for Science and Technology. Ben Farron, who served on advisory boards for the Senate Intelligence Committee and offered his technological expertise to the NSA and the Department of Homeland Security. So this is clear evidence that Disney is high-level associated with Freemasonry, occult practices, and which is heavily influenced in the creation of the United States government and military and intelligence projects. So these theme parks are basically, they are the testing grounds for what will be applied to the larger world population on a global scale. It's Disney World. It's a small sample, population size sample experiment to test the grounds, to test the waters for this technology being applied to the world at large. And of course, China is also our world's largest social experiment to date, which is now being implemented all over the world globally through this pandemic.
Je disais que Dieu nous avait abandonnés. On m'a répondu qu'en fait, Dieu n'avait jamais existé. L'humanité se précipitait vers son extinction. Nous avions besoin d'un Dieu pour nous sauver. Pour sauver le monde de son autodestruction. Pour que du chaos, enfin, puisse revenir. Des choses impossibles à prévoir, comme des sombres tableaux.
So that's what they're doing by collecting all of your data. They're not just using all of it to, that is what they're doing, but it goes so much deeper than just selling you advertising, targeted advertising online. It goes so much deeper. They're creating a digital profile of yourself that exists in a digital world that they are planning to implement as well, that people will be more than willing to plug themselves into. So stay tuned for the next part. We'll pick up right here where we left off. What you can watch it. I will leave any intros and stuff out so that you can watch it in a consecutive style. And so again, my name is Cullen Smith. This is Lifting the Veil. You can find all of my full books, presentations, videos, films, articles, posts at patreon.com/liftingtheveil. And there is also a ton of exclusive content, and I will leave the cited reference links in the description down below. So you can check that out for all of my full content, and I will see you guys in the next video. Stay tuned. Make sure to subscribe. Please help me reach more people by sharing these videos around on the internet, because I rely solely on word of mouth, and the recommended algorithms are not recommending any of my videos or films anymore. My channel has literally been completely restricted, so I rely on your help, and I need your help. So please help support this channel by sharing my work around if you appreciate it, and make sure to subscribe if you're not a subscriber already, and leave me your comments. I definitely want to know what you have to share and what you have to think about all of this stuff, and I will see you in the next video. Y'all stay safe and take care of yourselves, and I will see you later.